Welcome to a realm where personal growth meets expansive spirituality and where we're not just scratching the surface. We're diving deep, widening our perspectives, and having a darn good time doing it. This is the Enlightenment Podcast, and I am your host, Jen Hamilton. You'll enjoy an infusion of motivation, empowerment, and inspiration that will resonate in every aspect of your life. Expect captivating stories, heartfelt musings, and my own personal experiences. But that's not all. I'm bringing awe-inspiring individuals to the table, so get ready to meet some remarkable souls whose wisdom and stories will leave you spellbound. No topic is off limits here. Brace yourself for raw authenticity, unfiltered vulnerability, and yes, the occasional splash of explicit language. We're delving into the realms of the esoteric, mystical, and the woo-woo, unafraid to explore the extraordinary. So if you are ready to venture beyond the surface, to explore the depths of your soul, and to awaken the magic of life, if your heart says yes, then hit that play button and let the Enlightenment Podcast guide you on this remarkable expedition. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Enlightenment Podcast. I'm your host, Jen, here with another solo snippet from my heart to yours. And what is on my heart today is all about pleasure. And I'm not just talking about sexual pleasure at all. Like that's got a big part to do with pleasure. But I'm talking about the pleasure in life in every possible aspect. Because if you think about it, like, you get to decide what you're here for in this lifetime. You get to decide your meaning of life. And if you've listened to any of my other episodes where I interview guests, I always ask them at the end of the episode, what is the meaning of life to you? And I'm always really curious to hear what people have to say. And I love hearing everyone's different perspectives and point of views. And for me personally, whenever someone asks me, and like my particular view of, the meaning of life is to give life meaning. And I also know that I feel like life has so much more meaning when I have pleasure in every aspect of my life. When I experience pleasure in the food that I eat, when I experience pleasure in the clothes that I wear and how it makes my body feel, and how I express myself to the world. I experience pleasure in the connections that I have with my friends, with my family, with my partner, with someone that I meet at Coles along the way doing my shopping journey. When I experience pleasure in the food that I eat, it nourishes me in a different way. When I connect with the energy and the essence of the food that I'm putting into my body, I'm literally putting in the intention of pleasure and love into the molecules of the food, and I am like ingesting them and filling myself up with all of that love and that pleasure. Like it's this isn't just like some, I guess, like woo woo, like, yeah, pleasure and everything. Like this is literally a state of being. It also reflects in the work that I get to do as well. Now, as a coach, as a podcast host, as all the cool shit that I get to do with my life, which, I very strategically set my life up in a way that I have followed what feels good for me. Don't get me wrong, there's also very much parts that don't feel good as well. Sometimes that's my bookkeeping. But there's so much of my work that I get to do that fills me up, that is so pleasurable because I get to interact with cool humans and I get to learn from them and I get to support them. They get to add value to my life and I add value to their life. The work that I do supporting people to live a conscious life and become wildly liberated in who they are only happens because I've chosen pleasure for my life. I have chosen to find my full body fuck yeses to the things that light me up so that I can be in my fullest expression of self, so that I can live audaciously, authentically as who I am and show up in a way that lights the way for others to do so as well. If I wasn't living a life of pleasure and joy and happiness and in the fullest expression of myself, experiencing the full spectrum of human emotions, I think I'd be a pretty shit coach. I wouldn't be able to hold the spaces and the containers that I do for other people if I was just not loving wholeheartedly on my life. And sure, I know that my job as a coach, as a hypnotherapist, I'm a way shower. I get that. And I'm continually doing the work to hold a space open for people to come and join me on this journey. But people don't find me unless they're attracted to my energy. And the reason people are attracted to my energy is because I am the embodiment of what it is that I love to do and what I want to bring to the world. And that is what I want to inspire others to do as well. I don't want anyone to be like me. I don't want anyone to put me on a pedestal and be like, oh my gosh, I have to be like Jen. I want people to find that within themselves. And the way we get there is through discovering what brings us pleasure, what brings us to a state of like, yes, more please. Now, of course, pleasure happens in the bedroom. Of course, it happens behind closed doors. Of course, we have physical pleasure. It has been proven that a woman's clitoris is only part of her body for pleasure. Like it's got no other function other than pleasure. Hello, I'm a woman. I have a clitoris. I'm going to use this. I'm going to have the fullest expression of all of the physical pleasure that I can in this lifetime until the day I die. And I digress. This episode is not just about my clitoris. I know that physical pleasure is such a big part of things, and experiencing physical pleasure either with yourself or with a partner can open up so much of your creative centers. For a woman, her womb space is her creative center. Her whole yoni area is a portal that literally brings life from one dimension into the other. It is not only so sacred and so revered, like it is the epitome of the divine feminine within us all, but when tapped into to experience pleasure beyond just physical, it can open you up to have an awakening beyond your wildest dreams. And I'm not saying that lightly. And it's not necessarily through physical pleasure that we get there. But when we realize the physical pleasure that we do get to receive through our sexuality, through engaging, with ourselves or another to do things that do turn us the fuck on, light us the fuck up, and bring pleasure pulsating through our entire body. Nearly knocked the lamp over with excitement there. If you're just catching the audio, if you're on the video, you would have seen what happened, but I just got so excited moving my hands around that I nearly knocked off the lamp on the table behind me. Anyway, I completely digress again, but that's what this is all about. Pleasure does this to me. Pleasure just sort of brings me into this state of like, oh my gosh. But what I wanted to circle back to is that when we know how we experience physical pleasure through our sexuality, we realize that that can ripple out into multiple areas of our life. And my invitation to you is to check in where you're experiencing pleasure in the foods that you eat every day, the places that you go, the people that you're surrounded by, the clothes that you wear, the bed sheets that you lay in. I actually got all new linen for myself just before Christmas. And honestly, like sleeping in luxurious linen is a fucking vibe. If you don't have nice linen on your bed, get that sorted. If you don't have like the fluffiest of towels that you dry your beautiful body with every day, get that shit sorted. Like mark everything in your life as needing to be pleasurable or nothing at all, because I'm promising you everything will change. When I go out for my morning walks and I just soak in nature, sometimes I'm listening to music, sometimes I'm just there with my thoughts, going on my own. I discover the ways in which I can experience pleasure just by going for a walk. And when I'm in that state of mind of pleasure, I'm looking for the things that are just turning me on for life. And a lot of people say to me, they're like, wow, Jen, you've got so much energy, or like you're just like this person that just has so much life and you're just a vibe. And it's because of pleasure. It's because I actively have things in my life that I know just light me the fuck up. And when I'm lit up, that's how I'm bouncing with energy. And it's not just because I'm like high on caffeine or like doing like crazy amounts of breath work every day and like all that kind of stuff. That doesn't happen for me. I literally go through my life going, how can I experience more pleasure? How can I tap into that? And I know for so many people, if that's not your frame of mind to begin with, and if you haven't tapped into it, it could feel a little funky. It could feel as though you're disconnected from your pleasure. So in order to get reconnected with your pleasure, take it nice and simple. Just start to notice the things that you do, that you say, that you put into your body, that you put onto your body, and the people that you are in the energy of. Just notice how that feels. Notice what you have to be doing in order to feel good, to feel turned on, to feel excited, not just sexually here, but just in general, in life, and add either more of those things or take away the things that aren't feeling good for you. One of my favorite sayings is, if it's not a full body fuck yes, it's a no. Take it, use it, embody it. Like, that is a game changer. I check in with myself constantly. If it's not a full body fuck yes, it is a no. Like, my body has to be on board with everything else that's going on around me. Otherwise, I'm going to end up completely like over it, just in a complete state of disharmony and just hating on life because it doesn't light me the fuck up. I don't want to get to my deathbed at 111 years old and be like, wow, I wish I'd experienced more pleasure, or wow, I wish I'd done things differently, or I can't believe I stressed so much and just forgot to have fun. So my invitation for you right here, right now, is check in with what brings you pleasure. Add more of those things in, take out what does not serve you, get out there and live the most pleasurable life. Thank you so much for joining me for this Soul'o Snippet. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you love the Enlightened podcast, and the biggest compliment you can give me is subscribing to this podcast, sharing it, and leaving a rating and review. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is @JenHamiltonOfficial, and the podcast handle is enlightened_podcast. You can also find the video version on YouTube on my channel. Just search Enlightened, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a beautiful day and enjoy living the enlightened journey of life.